So we're here in Yakima today.
And we are here to talk about how democracy is not working for communities of color in Yakima and how it's probably not working in your city either.
So what are we going to do about it?
Hi everyone, I am Kenya Peregrino. I live in the Yakima Valley. My family migrated to Yakima when I was 4 years old, and I grew up in the valley. I am a DACA recipient and really love my community. I think it has a lot to offer and a lot of great people.
And I am Denise, born and raised here in Yakima, Palm Springs of Washington, as everyone else knows it.
Welcome to Palm Springs of Washington.
So, as I mentioned, we're here in Yakima, the ancestral lands of the Yakima Nation, but also home to big Filipino communities and
also the Latino community. There's a big immigrant population here in Yakima. Yakima is a really big exporter of apples and hops. A lot of the Latino community here is farm workers, and they contribute so much to our local economy, and they work so hard. We're also one of the first counties and one of the first cities to be sued under the Washington Voting Rights Act.
And why is that?
That's because there wasn't any representation for communities of color in our city council. In Yakima, no Latino had ever been elected to city council, and there was a lawsuit against the city of Yakima, and it found that it diluted the Latino vote, making it impossible for them to have representation on city council.
One of the things that lack of representation means lack of investment. We're here outside of the Henry Beauchamp Community Center, and we're going to chat a bit about the East Yakima versus West Yakima investment.
As we know, in East Yakima, there is not a lot of investment in infrastructure, and once you get past 40th, it tends to be nicer, wealthier side of town where it's predominantly white, and anything past 40th, we all know, has more investment in infrastructure than the east side. People living in the east side of Yakima don't have access to a pool to cool off, and people need pools to cool off in the summer because it gets really hot in Yakima. But all they have here in east side Yakima is this splash pad. The new aquatic center is really far away for east side Yakima kids, and they can't get there safely.
Now here we are in the west side of town, outside of the newly built YMCA Aquatic Center, with a lazy river, therapeutic pool, and many more amenities that, though nice and wonderful, are unfortunately built in the wealthier, wider sides of the town, which make it extremely inaccessible to east side Yakima kids. What are we going to do about it? How are we going to increase representation for people of color in Yakima and in other cities?
We can do that with democracy reform so that we can have true political representation. One of the ways that we can do that is with ranked choice voting. And we'll talk about how that works, but first let's go get some snacks. So we are at Panaderia El Solecito. It's a really cool panaderia, but they also sell a lot of really cool drinks that went viral on TikTok. It's family owned and it's local, so a lot of folks come out and support it.
All right, everyone, here we have Drew, born and raised in Yakima, actually 2 blocks from where we are now at Miller Park.
So I grew up 2 blocks away from here, grew up playing basketball right here at this park, and if it wasn't for this park, I don't think I would have got a scholarship to basketball at Seattle U. It's been really important for me just to try to raise the money to do our model here at Miller Park, just equality. I feel like just for the community members and what they get in a green space and a safe place for the youth to go, just like the kids on the other side of town.
Drew, have you heard about ranked choice voting before?
I have not. Let me know.
All right, so ranked choice voting is really simple. You vote based off of your favorite candidates, and you rank them from most favorite to least favorite. So like 1, 2, 3, top 3, top 2.
I know it sounds complicated if you haven't heard about ranked choice voting before, but it's actually really easy. We rank things all the time. Like, you probably have your favorite movies, favorite snacks. So if you had MySpace, you probably ranked your number 1, and you ranked your friends in order of preference. And so let's do that with snacks.
I know what that is. That'd be my first. I don't think I've had these 2, but this looks the next best, and then that's probably 3rd best in my opinion.
Yeah. So the great thing about ranked choice voting is similar to, let's say, my experience if I were to go to the bakery. Let's say I went in really wanting concha, but I get there and they don't have concha. That doesn't mean I have to miss out on the experience of having pan dulce that day. I can just go with my second option if they don't have my first choice.
That's good because I feel like even if your first choice doesn't get picked, then you still have a say, right? Because maybe your second or third choice. I like that type of voting.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the whole point. So, in places like Yakima, where communities of color haven't been represented equally in the past, it, not only increases the chance of, more people of color running, but of a candidate of color actually winning a seat and, really having a say for the people that voted them in.
Yeah, I like that.
With our current winner-takes-all system, there are a lot of feelings about hurting your chances of one candidate of the other. If you have two, really good Latino candidates running, but only one of them can make it past the primary, you have to decide, between them two and figure out which one has a greater chance of winning. So you have to be really strategic about your vote, right? And with ranked choice voting, you don't have to do that.
If your first choice doesn't get chosen, you have the opportunity to still be elected by a candidate that you approve of, and so you wouldn't have to worry about ranking your second candidate, because a vote for by ranking your second candidate, you wouldn't be hurting your first choice.
Yeah, I think that's helpful because sometimes someone might not want to vote for someone because they don't think there's a chance of them winning. So this would help with that too.
Yeah. Another positive thing we've seen is, reduced negative campaigning. When you have to deal with fighting for that one spot past the primary, you see a lot of negative campaigning. And with ranked choice voting, we've actually seen candidates working together. If Kenya and I were running, Kenya would be like, "Hey, vote for me number one. If you like me, and vote Denise number two." Or if it were me, I'd be like, "Hey, vote for me number one and Kenya number two." So.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm all for people kind of just more focusing on themselves and what they bring versus, down talking someone else. I like that more personally to see, and when people are running, not, bashing other candidates. I think it just shows better ethics and character.
And if you really want to get nerdy, ranked choice voting is used best when you pair it with multi-member districts.
Multi-member districts is when you have more than one candidate representing a district. So let's say you vote and select 3 candidates to represent one district.
So if 1/3 of the population is Latino in a district, then ranked choice voting will increase the chances of a Latino candidate winning one of those 3 seats.
That's called proportional representation, and it's one of the best things that we can get with ranked choice voting.
Imagine if your community was actually represented in your city or county leadership. What would that mean for you? It could mean better public investment, police accountability, more affordable housing, and more people feeling engaged and like their vote matters.
At Washington for Equitable Representation, we are working to bring ranked choice voting to Washington State. First, we're starting off with counties and cities, so then we can branch out and work on larger statewide and national elections. Do you want to bring ranked choice voting to your city or county? Here's 3 ways that we can work together to make this happen.
1.
You can file a ballot measure in your city or county so that voters can decide if they want to start using ranked choice voting.
2. If the voting rights of communities of color are being diluted in your community, you can file a lawsuit under the Washington Voting Rights Act.
This is what Yakima community members did recently to ensure that members of the Yakima Nation and Latinos get representation on Yakima Commission.
3. We need to advocate at the state level to make these things happen.
We need to pass a local options bill so that counties and cities that want to adopt ranked choice voting can, and strengthen the Washington Voting Rights Act. But hey, you don't have to do it alone. There's a lot of local organizations that are working to bring ranked choice voting to cities and counties in the state. And you can check them out on our website.
Think about ways you can make your community excited about ranked choice voting. You can talk to friends, family, or church groups, or you can make a TikTok ranking your favorite Hemsworth brothers.
Or you can check out our TikTok where we ranked our favorite Squishmallows.
So what do you think? Let us know in the comments how ranked choice voting can impact your community, and while you're at it, rank your favorite tacos.
Don't forget to follow us on social media, and I hope to see you all soon in the Palm Springs of Washington.